Hi there, it's Thursday the 18th of August 2022 and it's FIDE Master Johnny Curtis broadcasting to you from 1 hour north of Sydney in the Arimba rainforest. Yep. And today what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to show you 3 games that I played Untitled Tuesday. I only played 3 this week because I had to go to the dentist. And I did show these games live on my stream, but for those, my Twitch TV stream, but for those people that follow me on YouTube and you want to have a look at how I performed at Title Tuesday, well, you'll be pleasantly surprised. Here we go. In game 1, as you can see on your screen, we've got International Master Skim, rated 2,545. He's from the Netherlands, and he's got the white pieces. And as black, I'm the magician, right? Okay. Right, so I could try to go to the analysis room because it would be a good idea to also include the chess.com engine. If I go to the engine, you can't see the... oh, you can still see the board. Yep, that's okay. But this is game from round 1 of Title Tuesday. Okay? Just make sure your screen is right. Yep, your screen is correct. Okay, so we could change the board over. Does that look a bit better? Okay, but I'm still black either way. Okay, so International Master Skim. He opened up with e4, and just the percentages, if you want to have a look at that, the game review percentages. This is a fantastic facility. I always repeat myself, but it is at chess.com. If you're thinking of joining or increasing your membership to a platinum or diamond from a gold, here we go. I'm 82.5% for the purposes of this game, and my opponent, Skim, he only played at 72.7%, which I must admit is quite low for a guy rated 2,545. So he must have had first round jitters, right? The other thing is he might have played enterprisingly, because if you see my rating there, I'm only rated for the purposes of this game at 2,055. Now, people that know me would know that I could easily hover between 2,200 and 2,300. So being 500 rating points above me, he might have just thought, oh, this is going to be a walk in the park. But he got a shock. Okay, he got a shock. So here we go. He opened up with e4, and I replied with c5. And he played knight f3, the book move, and d6 was played. But I'll go slowly for the beginners out there. So bear with me if you're a stronger player, because we're trying to encourage beginners and train them to learn at the same time. d6 opens up the light squared bishop, and it prevents white from pushing the pawn to e5 after eventually playing knight to f6. So the whole idea is you want to put your knight here, but you don't want the pawn to hit you. So you play pawn here to stop that, right? And also to open up your bishop, okay? Right, so c3 is played. It's a book move. Knight f6, h3, and this is an unusual move by him, but it's a book move apparently, because there is a trap. It looks, oh, but Johnny, you could take this pawn off. No. If you take the pawn off, the queen will check you here to the king, right, to the queen, and then you can't defend your knight. So you would lose your knight. The knight will be here on this square, and you would lose your knight. So it's a trap. It's a book trap. So you've got to watch him. He's just hoping for an easy win against the low-rated player, my opponent. So I played e6. Remember, it's a 3-minute game, a 3-minute time limit at Title Tuesday on chess.com. Everyone was playing. Hikaru Nakamura and all the best players were playing. Bishop, I'm still wanting to play Hikaru. I've never played Hikaru. I'll probably have to win 3 games in a row or something, get lucky to play Hikaru. So I played Bishop D3. So he played Bishop D3, and it's a star move, it's a book move. And the idea is to move his bishop back to C2, but he castles first, which is a book move. Well done. So he played knight there. I played knight there. And then bishop C2 was played. Okay, so Skim is playing the white pieces. Remember, he's rated 500 points higher than me. He played, I played castles. He played D4. All right. Okay. So what did I do here? I'm playing the black pieces, and I thought, well, I'll take a pawn off. And it opens up a semi-open file. So that was my plan. And maybe to possibly go knight to B4 and take this bishop. So that was my plan. Pawn takes pawn. So I decided I'll go there and take his bishop. And the engine agrees. It says it's a star move, the best move. He played bishop B3, which is not the best, because he drops a pawn. Because he probably thought, he might have been a bit tired. Remember, I said to you he might have had first round jitters. He might have thought that his knight was already on C3 protecting the pawn and made a mistake, because even players rated 2,545, they make mistakes. Not that many big ones, but even when they make a mistake against weaker players, like me, they usually still win. They find a way to win, because that's why they're high rated. They're very strong. Okay, so he played Queen E1. And the reason being, he thinks, oh, I'm very strong. I'll attack 2 pieces at the same time. Both knights are attacked by the queen. And maybe black will make a mistake and move one of the knights back and lose a knight. But I found the right move. I played D5. Exclamation mark, because now the bishop protects the knight and the pawn protects this knight. So we protected both knights with one move. Now he probably overlooked this. So he played knight to C3 to put pressure on the centre. And I thought, well, if I take the knight, I improve his position. So I thought, no, his queen is blocking his rook. And my best move is to take advantage of the fact that he's a bit blocked up and move my pieces to a good square. So I played knight to D3, star move, so I can get rid of that rotten bishop down here. He played Queen E3, and I took his bishop. Best move. Remember, I've stolen a pawn, so if I exchange a piece, it's a good idea. Now, he'd like to take the knight, but he can't take it, because if he takes the knight, I just take back with the pawn, and I'll be attacking this knight. So he can't take the knight in the middle. So what does he do? He plays rook takes knight. Best move, star move. And, you know, in these kind of positions, people always wonder, oh, which rook do I take with? Well, the whole idea of him taking with this rook is that this rook here can go to E1 or D1, depending on what's required of the position. So that's why the engine says rook takes knight, star move, best move. So he's played a lot of best moves. Knight to F6. So we're playing a really good player. If we had to assess this position, coffee break, if we had to assess this position, we'd say that the position is good, better for white if white had his extra pawn, right? So if white had his extra pawn, then it'd be better for white. But as it is, black's winning because he's got the pawn. Knight to E5, a great move. It's a great attacking position for a strong player. I played bishop D7, mainly to get a piece out. I wasn't sure what to do here because he has got an overwhelming command in the centre of the board. So he's got adequate compensation for the pawn to a degree, but the engine doesn't think so. Have a look at the bar on the side of the board, and you will see that the black marker covers what part of white's board, which indicates white is in trouble. And that's him. That's Mr. Skim, 2,545 from the Netherlands. Okay, so I played bishop C6. I'm playing black. And the reason being is I want to get rid of his knight. I played this move to vacate that square so I can put the knight there and change knights. I want to get rid of the knight. He played g4 and I thought, well, if he's going to attack my knight, I'm going to move the knight before he attacks it. So I moved the knight back. Now there's a problem with his white position, and it's both a problem, it's a weakness, and it's a strength. And that is he's advanced his pawns in front of his king. Now, long term, that's a real big weakness in an end game, but he's hoping to beat me in the middle game. Having a sip of coffee. Okay, he plays Queen D3. Can you see what he's threatening? For the beginners out there, can you see any threats? Examine all checks and captures like I tell you to, and you will see white is threatening checkmate. The bishop and the queen are lining up together to threaten checkmate. So how does black reply here? Well, you certainly don't reply by moving the pawn forwards because it'd still be checkmate on that square. So you play g6 and it's the best move, star move. It's an exclamation mark move actually. There was one other move, knight here, but that's where you put the knight. That's where the knight came from in the first place. So it'd be a bad idea to move the knight back. Also, if you move the knight back to stop the checkmate, he could push the pawn on your knight, and that'd be really terrible. So the best move is g6, and that's what we played. Knight takes knight, he played knight takes knight. It's a good move. It's an equal trade, according to the computer. I recovered, that's the best move. He played knight e2, so where's his knight going now? We'll have a look and we'll see in a minute, but I think it's going to go here and here, if I remember correctly. Okay, so I played c5 because I can't win on the king side. Black cannot win on the king side. If black just sits there and does nothing and moves his pieces backwards and forwards, well, a player rated 2,545, he will eventually get an attack on the king and he will win. So you can't sit there idly and just move your rook backwards and forwards because that's like waiting for Dracula to come along and bite you on the neck. Anyway, so pawn takes pawn, and I played with the bishop. I took with the bishop. It says it's an excellent move, and we traded off equal material, it being the pawn. He played king g2. Good idea. The reason he plays king g2 is multifold, right? Multifold purpose move. He played king g2 because A, he can now push this pawn, whereas before when the king is here, he can't because the pawn would be pinned by the knight. That's number one. Number two is when he moves his king forwards, he clears a square for the castle to go to h1 and to aim at my king by pushing pawn h4, h5, okay? So it's a multi-purpose move, okay? So it's a great move. Bishop b6, I made this move, I returned the bishop, mainly because I might in some cases want to play knight here and attack his queen. Other reasons for doing it would be to play rook c8 and try to exchange a castle at some stage, because remember I have an extra pawn. I've got very good pawn structure at the moment, and with that, if we can exchange a major piece, such as a castle, we would be winning the game much more easily. At the moment, the bar on the board says we are winning. Knight g3, interesting move. Engine says it's a fairly good move. Okay. Rook c8, rook c8. Here we go. That was the plan, so we stuck to our plan. He played f4. Remember, he played king g2 to clear that pawn so he could push it. So he's following up with his plan. His plan is to try to play f5 and open up the king, the black king. I played queen h5. It says it's a good move. It says my rooks are connected, which helps them coordinate tougher in the future. Together in the future, not tougher. Together. Tougher and together. He played f4. At this stage I was a bit concerned, and I thought, well, what do I do here? And I played pawn takes pawn. It says it's a good move. It says you should end up winning material after the right captures. It says I should win material. So he took with the pawn, and I played knight c5. And the engine says, uh-oh, there's a better way to threaten winning material. And I think that the correct idea was maybe bishop c2. Was that the correct move? We'll just find out. Bishop c7. Want to find out what the engine thinks of bishop c7 for black instead of the move that I played. It's a mistake. Knight e5 was best. Well, there you go. So I couldn't find the engine move. So I played knight c5 instead of knight e5. Knight e5 was the engine move and apparently the best move. He played queen to f3. And now he's trying to get a force majeure running down to the f7 pawn and to get some sort of attack. So he's still playing on the white squares. I'm wondering how I can obfuscate him somehow. So I played knight there because I thought it's important to... I should have played queen to d5, but I didn't understand that position that well. The way I saw it was I had to open up the power of my castle here onto his castle and encourage him to exchange. And the other reason I thought was I'm attacking his knight, so I'm simply threatening queen takes knight check and getting to an endgame because I'm very strong at endgames. And being a pawn up, I thought, well, I'll have a reasonable chance of getting a draw. Okay? Of course, white doesn't want to draw, white wants to win. In this position, white should be able to gain a draw pretty easily, but he wants to win. He played bishop takes, which is a star move, excellent move. And I played rook takes rook. I took the opportunity to remove a castle off the board. He played rook takes, star move, best move. And I played pawn takes, right, to eliminate that piece. He played knight takes pawn. Now it's here. This is the critical position. This is still the critical position because white's got 4 pawns and now black's got 4 pawns. So is the knight going to be better than the bishop? This is the big question. And what should black play? Well, black played rook e8. It was not the best move. The best move is bishop to d4 to cover any attack along those squares, right? Bishop d4 is the correct move. But I thought I'll play rook to e8. And it says it's a mistake. Right. So he played pawn takes pawn, which is the best move. So is he winning? Well, I played... What's going on here? Oh, yeah, I calculated this. I calculated the trap here. It does look like after pawn takes pawn, I'm setting up a trap. Yeah, after pawn takes pawn, it looks like white's next move is knight check and win the rook. So it looks fantastic, doesn't it? So how does black defend? How does black, let alone win the game, how would black defend this position? Well, if you'd look 3 or 4 moves ahead like I did, you will see this happen. Pawn takes pawn. Knight checks, he's fallen for the trap. What trap, Johnny? What trap? You're going to lose your castle. Anyway, I played king here, exclamation mark. And then he took the rook. Wrong move, buddy. Now, he might have had a draw with a knight check. Now, let's have a look and see what the engine says after knight check. Well, black is still better, but not so much better that black is winning, okay? So black is still better, but not so much black is winning. However, he didn't do that. He played knight takes, allowing my trap move, which is queen to g5 check. Never miss a check, it might be mate. Anyway, he played queen to g4, and then we ripped off his rook. And now he's combined with my bishop, I'm already threatening a check down there, and we're already threatening his knight, and he hasn't got a decent check. He hasn't even got a decent check. If he checks here, for instance, I will take his knight. So he's got to do something with his knight. Anyway, moved his knight there, and it's with that I thought, well, I'm going to give him a check and win the knight, right? You know, right? So now his knight's attacked and his king's attacked. He played king there and I took his knight off. So now we have a guy 2,545. He's a piece down to a guy 2,055. So if you were rated 500 and you beat somebody 1,000 rated, well, that's basically what I did here. Anyway, so he gave me a check. So I moved up there to G7. And he played queen c4. Have a look at the time now. I've got 35 seconds and he's got 10.8 seconds. He played queen to h2. I played queen to h2. He played queen c3 check. He got a check. Now I moved over there. Now there's no more checks. So it's important to make sure your opponent's got no checks. So he played king there, hoping probably that I'd take the pawn. But hold on. I've made all my bad moves this week. So I just gave him a dirty big check. Anyway, I get his king up the middle of the board, and guess what I did? I checkmated him in the middle of the board. That's right, that's checkmate. Checkmate, checkmate. Yeah, it's checkmate to the white king in the middle of the board. And so we've got the magician, and he's beaten Skim 2,545 in round one of Title Tuesday. We have a winner, folks. We've got a winner. Okay, so that's game one. So let's go back to the archives, and we'll have a look at game two. Game two, and the game two is we were in round two of the late Title Tuesday. Just make sure you can see that. Yes, you can see the late Title Tuesday banner up there on the right-hand side of the board, and it looks like we've got a draw. And we played Hacking Kid 98. We'll turn the board around for the purposes of the analysis. Oh, we won't do that. What we'll do is we're going to the analysis. Oh, we're in the analysis, are we? Analysis. There we go. We're going to go into the analysis. Go into the analysis room and we'll check on game review. So this was a draw. This guy was 2,631. Now, a lot of players would say, oh no, I won my first game against 2,550. Now I've got to play this guy. No, wrong attitude. What I want to teach you guys, you beginners out there, and even you moderate players from 1,600 to 2,000, what I want to teach you is this. The best opportunity you have in life to improve is to take on stronger players. That's right. Bring on Hikaru, I always say. Bring on Carlson. I'll play them. I'd love to play them. Not because of the profile being lifted by playing somebody of a famous stature as Hikaru or Carlson. It's got nothing to do with that. It's A, for the enjoyment of chess, and B, to improve my game. So if I could, and also to get some good self-esteem going here, boys and girls, some good self-esteem. What you really want to do is perform well. Doesn't matter whether you win or lose. So a lot of people say, oh, I'm no good, I lose every game. Well, I don't want you to have that attitude. I want you to be happy when you lose, right? So I challenge you to play better players as often as you can. And if you lose lots of games, well, your sensei here would be very proud of you, right? I'll even put on my sensei hat. There you go. Oh, sensei, very proud. Yeah, that's right. I'd like to be very proud of you guys for stepping up and playing those stronger players. Anyway, here we go. Hacking Kid 98 is rated 2,631 from India. He has the white pieces, and we'll leave the board as it is because it's good to get it from to look at the board and analyse from the black perspective and the white perspective. You'll notice if you go to a chess tournament, a live chess tournament, you're playing in a tournament, that some players will go and that are playing their opponent will get up from their chair and they'll walk around the other side of the table and stand behind their opponent's chair to have a look at the board. And that's to get focus or get perspective on the board from the other side, right? So it's important to try to have an overall perspective of the chessboard. So C5, G3 was played by a hacking kid. He's fianchettoing his bishop. He showed his intention to fianchetto his bishop. And well, I thought I'll play G6, a book move. And my idea is just to counter my black squares diagonal against his white ones, right? That's the logic. So there we go. And then he castled, so I played E5. And that's a book move. Okay, it's a book move. It says E5 is a book move. We're playing the English opening. It's the symmetrical variation. It's a very symmetrical position. Knight C3 and Knight E7. Now, the knight is actually not so good on this square, right? It's not as good because it's sort of a bit blocky. And also, you've got to watch this knight coming in on D5 and the bishop pinning the knight, particularly if it gets to F6. So that's why in this position, the knight on E7 is the book move rather than knight to F6. The reason why I point this out is because I always teach my students and people following me on Twitch TV, I always tell them, Bobby Fischer said you put your knights on C3 and F3. Just as the super player, Hacking Kid 98, rated 2,631. He did what Bobby Fischer told him to do. He's put his knights out on the correct squares. But I didn't. But the engine says I did the right thing here because there's always an exception to the rule. Okay. D6, D3. D6, I called it right the second time, didn't I? Okay, rook to B1. Now, why would white, Hacking Kid, 2,631? The big question you should ask yourself, when a player plays a certain move, you don't look just at what you're going to do. You've got to ask yourself, why did my opponent put the rook on B1? Okay? He must have a plan. So, okay, because he's rated so high. Okay? So, you always got to have a look at what your opponent's going to do. One of the biggest problems that weaker players have, or learner players, is that they're always looking at the board from their perspective. And I talk about perspective a lot here, because to improve in chess, you must look at the board from both sides, right? So that's why you examine all checks, examine all captures. That's the basic chess rules. But when we get to a more advanced level, we've got to understand the long-term prognosis of why a certain move is played. So we're taking you to the advanced level here. Yes, we are. Okay, so here's the advanced level. Hold on. Because we're at the advanced level, I think we need a Grandmaster to help us. So I'm going to bring in a chess Grandmaster to help us, right, look at the board from the correct perspective and ask the Grandmaster why rook to B1 was played. I hope you're happy with that. Okay. Grandmaster Teddy is here today. Surprise, surprise. Grandmaster Teddy, I'm glad to have you here on the YouTube stream. And as you can see, our opponent Hacking Kid 98, rated 2,631. He's just played rook to b1. And I'd like to ask you, Grandmaster, why would he have played that move? Teddy will explain.
Well, boys and girls, if you're looking at the board, the real reason rook to b1 was played was because he wants to play a3, right? He wants to play a3 and he wants to play b4 to expand on the queen side and start pushing your knight away on c6.
Thank you, Teddy. I think you summed it up excellently. Teddy was really good, isn't he? So Teddy's right. Rook to b1 was played to play a3 and b4 and then hit the knight and chase it away. In other words, an expansion of the queen side. So White played a move with two moves thinking ahead, okay? That was his plan, a two-move think ahead. So what do we do when we're black? If we recognise and identify his plan, we stop it. That's correct. The arrow's pointing to the correct move, a5, to stop the b4 move, right? You've got to stop it. He can't play it just yet, but he wants to play it. So a5 was the best move. So a3 was played. Now he's ready to play the b4 move, just as Grandmaster Teddy explained. Now we play a5. So I played it just in time. Bishop g5 was played. This is a good move. It may threaten knight to d5. And then if the knight was on d5, he'd be able to play b4, right? And you couldn't take the knight because the knight would be pinned by this bishop. So it'd be pretty messy, and the big 2,631 player would be killing you. What would he be doing? He'd be killing me, Johnny. That's right, he'd be killing you. Okay, right. I'll check the sound here. I'm going to turn the sound up. I'll ask you again. What would he be doing if he was killing you? Well, he'd be killing me. Of course, we did say that. Right, I think this bloke's got it right. Okay, next move. F6. That's a star move by us. We played a star move. The engine agrees. Engine on the bar on the side of the board. Did you notice? Have you noticed the bar on the side of the board? The engine, the top engine, says that Hacking Kid 2,631 has an equal position to moi. I'm very proud of that. Okay, so I chased his bishop away and he played bishop e3. Star move, best move. I would have played bishop to d2, right? And that's probably the second best move. So, but he played bishop e3 and that's the best move. I can see why he's played it. He wants to play queen to d2 and clear his rooks. So that's why he's done it. That's the mark of a very strong player. 2,631. Anyway, see, I played knight to f5, and it's more of a bullshit move than anything else, I thought. And that's why I was given inaccuracy by the computer. The computer said bishop e6 was best. So I played probably the third best move. Anyway, so he played knight to d2. Well, fortunately, that's a blunder because bishop to d2 was correct, right? He didn't want to move his bishop, so I took his bishop off. Now, there is a chance that he made a pre-move and did not expect me to play knight to f5. So if he did a pre-move, well, he was a very naughty boy. And pawn takes. It's a star move. Now black's winning. So the chances are, because our opponent's 2,631, there's chances are that he's made a pre-move and got caught out. Now, he hasn't lost material, but black's got a slight advantage now. Main reason being that he's got a weakness on the e3 square. So what do? Well, we attack it, don't we? And we get a star move, right? You get a little pat on the top of the head from the teacher, from the chess.com engine, and we attack the e-pawn. And he played knight to d5, which is this star move. He's correctly assessed that in this position, the knight's going to hold the pawn. You may have played for this. So I played knight to e7, right? I want to take his knight off. He played b4, which is incorrect, mainly because he's underestimated the power of my bishop and my knight. The whole purpose of my position, this is what he's missed. He's missed rook takes pawn. He's missed rook takes pawn. He may have made another pre-move, but I doubt it. He may have just blindly missed it. Oh, I can see what he's concerned about. There is a little complication, I'll show you. If rook takes pawn, which is what the engine suggested, I could play bishop takes pawn, right? Check, okay? I could play bishop takes pawn, check, and I could remove a lot of pieces from the board, okay? All right then. So, because he can't take with the knight because he'd lose his rook, okay? Anyway, so b4 was played, so it was a complex position. This position here was a very complicated position, right? Very complicated. And so even for a 2,631 player with 2 minutes and 36 seconds on his clock, after all, he's not Hikaru. He's not rated 3,000, is he, right? Okay, b4. A takes b. Not the best. C takes b4 was better. Right, so it was actually better to take with the c pawn. He took back, and then I played knight takes knight. As you suggest, knight takes d5 is excellent. King h8 was better. Watch this. King h8, star move. I got it anyway. So I got to play king h8 anyway, and I removed the knights. But more importantly, I've removed the defending piece to the e pawn. That's right. And so now he pushes the pawn, because if he takes this pawn, I win a pawn. But as it is, I don't win a pawn. I play pawn takes pawn. He plays rook takes. And it's here that I played bishop hits rook. Oh, that's right. I played bishop hits rook. In some variations, he's got to be careful that his rooks don't get trapped, because if he moves a rook, for instance, 1 square forwards, I can pin his rook with his bishop. So he's in a bit of bother here. So he played rook there. So I played queen hits castle, exclamation mark. And now what I'm doing is I'm effectively attacking him on both sides of the board. That's right. We've turned the wheels of fate around, the wheels of fate, and we're attacking a 2,631 player on both sides of the board. That's right. The two bishops are causing havoc on the king side, and now we're causing total disruption and mayhem on the queen side. If he moves his castle anywhere but here, he's going to lose his knight, because we've got 2 pieces on the knight as well. So it's a powerful move, this queen a5, okay? He hasn't got time to take the pawn. If he takes the pawn, he will lose the knight. So our combination of our squares is improved that much that the chess.com analysis engine has given the black overwhelming superiority on the side of the board on the evil bar, or whatever they call it. There we go. He played rook b2, forced, star move, best move, only move, right? Okay. And now I gave a check. Not the best move. Queen hits castle was absolute dynamite. It was dynamite. It actually won, I think. Yeah, a queen hits castle would probably win something. It's pretty strong anyway. It's a pretty strong move, queen here. Okay, right. I'll give you an idea. If queen here, right, say queen there. If queen here, rook here to hit the queen, chase it away, you've got to protect your knight. You can play rook here. Look at that move. Yes, it's pretty powerful stuff. And I missed it. I gave him a check instead. So I went astray, and the bar gives white a slim chance. Anyway, he played King H1, and I thought, what do I do here? So I thought, I'll take his knight. Engine says that's a good move, second best move, but Queen to D4 was the best move, right? He played Rook takes, and now I was happy because my pieces are very active. I'm trying to find a knockout blow, but I couldn't see one, so I played Queen to B4, and it's not the best move. It's not a great move. And now the position's almost equal. That's right, it's almost equal from having a completely won game against the 26-30. It's almost equal. He played Rook B1, exclamation mark move, and that's what you expect of a super chess player like this. From India, isn't he? He's from India? Yes, he's from India. Okay. It's the Hacking Kid 98. I played Queen to B3 just to pin his castle and to cause him a bit of mayhem. Rook to B1, star move, best move. He wants to exchange pieces as much as possible. So I changed them and I thought, well, I can draw this because I'm a good endgame player. And I played Rook to A2, star move, best move, attacking his E-pawn. You see, with my bishop here on H6, I've got him in a sort of a checkmating net there, and he's got to be careful of checkmates. So he played Rook to F2 to defend against checkmates, okay? So it was here that I played Rook to A1, star move, best move, and I offered to give him a pawn. Now, he can't take that pawn. If he takes that pawn, he will die. He should take the pawn. I thought he would die if he took the pawn. So I was wrong, and the engine says, no, he should take the pawn. Anyway, so I played Rook there, Rook hits Rook, and now I'm thinking Rook takes Rook, check is checkmate. See, Rook takes Rook, Rook takes, I'll show you. If I'm threatening Rook takes Rook, check, and if he takes with the king, give him another check down there, and then he's got to put his Rook in, and that would be checkmate there on F1. So he played Rook to F3, he doesn't like checkmate. So I thought, I'll take that Rook. I thought I've got at least a draw here at worst. I should have played King G7, see the arrow there, and protected my F-pawn. He took with the Rook, and then I gave him a check. Second best move, King G7 is best, right? He played King there, and at this stage I thought, I'm not going to win this, because I was happy with the draw. So I protected my pawn. That's a trap. I set a trap for him, right? Setting a trap. I set a trap for a player rated 2,631. But you never know. They might fall for the trap, but not this guy. He's too good. But the whole trap was, if he takes the pawn, I give him a check at the back, kick him in the backside. Ouch! Got him. No, and then that would win the castle down on F6. So that was the trap. But he saw the trap and he played there. So I played King G7, finally played the star move. He played Rook back. He should have played King back, but there's not much difference here. I played H5, star move, best move. He played King there, and I thought, oh, I'll give him a check. It's excellent, but Bishop G4 was better. He played King there, and I thought, oh, time to play Bishop G4. No, Rook A1 I played, best move. Unbelievable, isn't it? Anyway, he played King there, and I thought, oh no, where's he going? And that was the purpose of Rook here. So I'll go back here 1 second. You might say, why did I get a star for this move? Well, the whole idea is, if he plays King here and he wants to go hunting the pawns, I give him a check and he can't get to the pawns. So he went there and I gave him a check, and now he can't get to the pawns. He should have went back, but he's gone there, and so I thought, well, I could give him a bishop check. Wrong move. I should give... Oh, bishop there was better, wasn't it? All right, then. So he played King hits Rook. Good move. So I played Rook there. I didn't like that. And then he hit my Rook again. So I thought, oh, what do I do here? Well, I played Rook here. Double question mark, because I was happy with the draw. And he played pawn there. So he's improved his position. He got a star. Position's dead equal. See the bar on the side of the board? Position's dead equal. He played F5. Right, played F5. And, pawn takes pawn was played. Right. It was with better move. So I played rook takes rook, check. I played king takes. Now we got this position, it's an end game. Now when we look at this position from an overall perspective, and you're black, what move do you play here? Well, there's only one move, I think. Can you see that white's threatening 1, 2, 3 and taking the pawn? And then that would be a win for white. So it's very important black get his king over to these pawns over here. So there's only one move. King there. Excellent. H4 was best. That's interesting, isn't it? H4 was best? Gee whiz. Gee golly, gee whiz. H4 was best. I wonder if I played H4, what would have happened? Position still equal. Okay, so I played king there. I want to get my king back. And he played king C3, best move. I played king E7. I should play pawn takes pawn, according to the engine, but I didn't like it. You played king there, and I played king here. It says G5 is best. Wow. I was worried about him taking this pawn. He only had 2 squares to go to take the pawn. Anyway, he should play king there. I played pawn takes pawn, and he took back with a pawn. Now he's on this pawn here, right? He's on that pawn. So I played pawn there, right? At this stage, white's winning. He played bishop takes pawn, and I played king here, right? He played bishop there. Remember, he's got 21 seconds. I've got 30. I started moving fast. He played bishop hits bishop, so I pushed the pawn and got a star, an exclamation mark for that. He played bishop there, so I went back, and then he went there, and now he's got a 1 game, I think. He's got 18 seconds left, but I played king there. He played bishop there. I played king here, and he should play king to A3 to win the game. This move is winning the game, I think, king here. Because I can't protect the pawns anymore. Anyway, I played king here, check. I went back, and it was a draw. A draw was agreed. I offered him a draw, and he took it, right? But he had the advantage in the final position. But I was happy with the draw. 2,631 draw. Anyway, listen, I'm going to end the video here because I was going to show you my loss in round 3, but it wasn't a great game. I think it was 2,700. I'll play through it quickly. I won't deprive you of the fun of watching me lose my 3rd game. I only played 3 rounds, then I had to go to the dentist, as I said. But here we go. I'll show you the game. Go back to the archive, but I'm just going to play through the game quickly and talk about it very, very quickly. Okay. My 3rd round game was against Zivkovic, International Master Zivkovic from Serbia, right? And, right, from Serbia. And, oops. It lasted 51 moves. It was a hard-fought game. I played e4, c5, knight f3, d6, d4, takes, knight f6, knight c3. So we've got the Sicilian defence Najdorf variation. Bishop g5, which Mikhail Tal, you know Mikhail Tal? Look, that's Bobby Fischer. There's Mikhail Tal. I'll show you. That's my little hero. Mikhail Tal used to love to play this position. Young Mikhail Tal. That's from the Tal-Botvinnik match, 1960, when Tal won the World Championship. Okay. I do talk about that occasionally. Right, and I've done a video or 2 about Tal and how his rise to the World Championship and how he played Botvinnik in the following year. Actually, 9 months later, I think it was. and lost the title back to Botvinnik, right? Okay, knight b5 to d7, bishop c4. Bishop c4 is just to aim at the weakest square on the board. Some combinations can happen from this. Bishop there, I played that move as I wasn't sure about queen a5 and what to do. And then he played knight takes pawn. I thought, oh no, I've lost the pawn. It was just a blunder, that's all it was. And I thought, what do I do? Queen there. I should have taken his knight and castled or something. He played there, so I took the knight off, he recaptured. Then I castled kingside. Played queen there, so I protected both pieces. He was threatening both pieces. So I've just blundered a pawn in the opening. And that's what my opponent may have done in the previous game where I won, you know, round one, the first game. And he might have just blundered a pawn too. So bishop there. It can happen when you're a little bit nervous. Like I say to the beginners out there, you're not the only ones that get nervous. We get nervous too, us strong players. So I played rook to e1, and he played bishop e7, king h1, so you can see I didn't play it that well. Played f4, I'm trying to get this standard f5 move in, or trying to do something, but he won't let me. He played bishop to b7, excellent play. He's controlling the whole board along the rank here. He's controlling the file. His queen's extremely powerful there. Now he's got the long diagonal. Have a look at my bishop, doing nothing. Right? I really want to sacrifice on this square. I'm going to have a look at the analysis here. I said I'd be quick, but not that quick. I just want to find out whether I should have sacrificed. I know I'm a pawn down. My instincts told me I can't sacrifice against this guy. He's too strong. But I might be wrong. Hence, I'm checking the engine. Okay, so I'm checking the engine. Yeah, here is the critical situation. I played knight takes pawn. Wonder what the game review says. Here. And it's not showing the best move. Oh, a3 was best. So my best move in that position was a3. Pawn here. So I'm just losing. If that's my best move, I'm lost, right? So the reason why I did it was just threatening rook takes bishop, discovered check. But he's too good. He sees that. Cuts off my bishop. So I doubled the rooks on his bishop, trying to control the open file. But I'm still lost. He's got too many pieces. He's got a piece. I played rook takes knight. That's apparently the best move. Played pawn takes. Oh, I should have played knight hits bishop, right? But the position's still lost according to the engine. Okay. And my idea was trying to control the white squares and get an attack. So I had some crazy long idea of playing pawn here and bishop here and a checkmate down there, right? So I want to put my bishop there and get a checkmate there. So that was my crazy plan. Because we're both short of time, 28 seconds for him, but even with 28 seconds, he's too good. I played c4, wrong move. Says I should have threatened checkmate, but he would have just taken my queen off. So he took the pawn off, and I played g3. He played queen hits castle. Now I'm in a real mess. So I played rook b1, played bishop there. So I threatened checkmate, but he just stops it. He's got 15 seconds left. I've got 29. He played rook hits, threatens checkmate, and there's no way I could defend it. So I gave him a check to slow him up and then went back and protected it. And then he played rook to e2. Now he's threatening checkmate here, That's a checkmating attack. So I played rook hits queen star move, but now he played the correct move. And now I played bishop here, and then he went there. So I thought I'd change queens, because maybe in 11 seconds he might lose. But he's too good. He played rook there. So I changed the queens and took a pawn. I should take a pawn off. I should take a pawn. Now I took it. I set a trap for him there in time trouble. So in that position, I knew he's attacking my bishop and the pawn. So I played the bishop there quickly, hoping that he'd do a pre-move and take the pawn. But he didn't. He took my bishop instead. Well, that was the end of the section. And he just cleaned up, took all the pawns off, and I resigned. Because it was 1 second increments, just to let you know. So I hope you enjoyed those games. Game 1, we won against a 25-50 or whatever he was. Game 2 against a 26-50 or whatever he was. That was a draw. And we finally lost that game. That was round 3 of Title Tuesday. And I only played 3 rounds. As I said, I had to go to the dentist. So I withdrew from the tournament. But I can't ever miss an opportunity to play such strong players. I respect them greatly, and I always encourage my beginners to respect their opponents, even when they're lower rated. You should always respect your opponent, because if you don't respect your opponent, you're not respecting yourself, are you? Anyway, that's enough of our life lessons. It's goodbye from me. It's goodbye from Grandmaster Teddy, and we'll catch you in our next video, guys. Bye. And don't forget, thumbs up for the video if you like it, and please subscribe to my YouTube channel, or come and watch me on Twitch TV. It's all much appreciated. Bye now.